Guys, we're back at one of our most requested video updates. We're at the Quincy Cottage. This is Doug's house, Doug from Motif Media, who helps create all the beautiful content here on YouTube. But we are in his personal home that he has been working on for the last couple of years. The home is now complete. Congrats, because I think you're basically—
I feel like we should shake hands.
Shaking hands on camera. To bring us back, this was a cottage that was over time kind of bastardized and had some additions put onto it. And you guys decided to add a dormer on the second level, but more importantly, actually restructure the second floor entirely, which captures this space.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about this during the framing phase on how epic it could be. How is it?
I think we nailed it. I mean, just to quickly recap, there was a wall here. There was a chimney where the camera is, right about here. This was walled off. So this was like a super dark kitchen. Mm-hmm. This room was like ultra bright, low ceiling.
Kind of like a porch almost.
Basically a porch.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was so like squeezed, like you really couldn't even like, I guess you could just sit in there, like a porch. Yeah. There wasn't much else you could do in there.
Structurally, there was some interesting things going on. Steel truss rods to asphalt shingles that were, I think, structural at some point. This space is my favorite. One of the things that you guys really wanted to do is get more light in the space. And now, to your point, like what it was, but now your dining space, living space, kitchen space, all one space, a ton of light. The skylights, the V-Lock skylights are killer.
Yeah. So the kitchen originally was a little L. So as you can see,
classic layout.
Huge transformation here. We actually worked with UMI. My wife and I went to their big showroom in Rentham, and we picked, this is quartz Vica stone.
It looks like a natural marble, which is really nice. I think it's the directional veining that gives that illusion. Yeah,
it's super directional. I think it's the barrel finish. We have a 3-year-old. Quartz just made sense for us. You know, it's very durable.
Yeah.
Could take a beating, which syncs up. That lines up. And then we worked with Olympia to do the fabrication. So they came out, templated, they handled the fabrication. Super straightforward process.
I mean, you have the overhang here, which can either be used as prep space or like informal dining space. Yeah. The window, I'm so glad that you opted to do it, because the window behind the sink, basically the backsplash window, we'll call it, you're capturing an additional at least 4 inches of counter space. It feels as though it's more substantial than that. You're getting all of this natural light that's just pulling into the space and making, you know, an otherwise smaller cottage feel a lot more expansive.
Yeah, and that, like you said, this doesn't seem like a lot. It's like, you know, maybe 3 inches or whatever, but like, it's a big difference, kind of feeling it. Whatever goes there, I don't know, a potted plant or something. You just don't really notice it till you notice it. Sure. It gives you so much more space.
Now, did you build the cabinets?
I did not.
You did not?
Materia millwork.
So Ken helped you?
Ken helped.
Did you build any of them?
I did not. I helped.
I thought he did.
I'll tell you what I did. I did.
See, I knew he did something.
I put in the Le Mans.
There you go.
Which does not, everyone told me not to. So.
Why?
They told me it's above my pay grade. Everyone told me that, which is fair.
Doug loves a good challenge.
I did take that as a challenge and made it my mission to put those in. That door's not closing.
That's okay. That just needs a little.
It just needs a little adjusting.
And this is a pre-finished laminate material.
Yeah, this is Rehow.
Rehow, yeah.
I think you guys used it for like a closet or something, but I really like it. It's super, seems super durable.
Yeah, so the nice part about Rehow is that essentially you order all your panels. So what's really important is that Ken worked with you, did the layout, figured out all the panel sizes, and then you order these directly from Rehow exactly to size. And you can do the same thing for end panels and fillers and things like that.
And they laser edge band it.
When you think about RTA, ready to assemble cabinetry, this is a great way to do it, where it's you're not dealing with finish. It's coming to site in pieces.
Yep.
And whether you are assembling it or Ken,
Right.
you know, it makes that process simple.
Yeah.
I noticed, did you have extra flooring, or was this the plan here?
This was not the plan. This was going to be more of like a built-in situation. There's a drain here from the upstairs.
Yep.
So Pat Farrington did all the finished carpentry. We just kind of looked at it and talked about it, and we're like, let's just padded the wall out. And my thought was like, let's just run the flooring up.
You've even grain matched it, which
That was all Pat. That was
Ken DeCoste would be very.
So yeah, Pat
Very
found
excited.
some like color close enough. They're not the same board. These were done.
You're fooling me because I thought they were the
They're
same
not.
board.
Pat,
Okay.
that's all Pat.
Okay.
Kudos to Pat.
All right.
Because the flooring was done in June and the finish was done in September. So
Got it.
there's no way these are the same boards.
Okay.
But he did a really good job just selecting the boards.
Nice.
The last time you were here was right before Oliver Plaster delivered blue board. Really impressively, from blue boarding to plaster being done was about 3 days. And they did such an amazing job, and they did it super efficiently. So Clark and Aldine spec 2 paint options from Benjamin Moore, one being Chantilly lace and the other being white dove. The painter on my house was Adelphia Painting. So Peter walked the job with me, and he's like, look, Chantilly lace is a great color, but you're going to need 3 coats. So to avoid that 3rd coat, I just went with the safety option. They came in, primed, painted, and it looks amazing.
I skipped over it, but I love the tile on the backsplash there, and you also did it on the backside here,
Yeah.
which you mentioned you have a 3-year-old.
Yep.
Even if they were 6, 9, or 30 years old, they're kicking their feet in the backside of
Oh,
the
yeah.
panel, and they get destroyed. So what is this tile?
This is Emser. I don't know the specific tile. We could put it in the description.
Yeah.
It's just like a mini subway tile kind of
Yeah.
thing. It just really went with the green. And I liked it so much back there. I'm like, let's just put it back here.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So speaking of tile, the bathroom's all redone, because at one point you weren't going to do the bathroom.
This was going to be an original bath. Well, just basically done later on.
Sure. I'm going to step inside here because
Come on in.
it's really cool. You got the hexagon white tile on the floor.
Emser again.
And then on the wall, it looks like you maybe a 2.5 by 7-ish subway that you've done vertically.
Yep.
But talk to me about the color difference, because that's super cool.
So that was Clark and Aldine.
They laid out everything, soup to nuts.
It's real. So this is an Emser tile as well.
This is Emser. I think this is the meteorite. They have the green, white, and you'll see we did the black as well, which is the 3 colors it comes in. I saw it at IBS a couple of years ago, and I really liked it.
It's cool. It has that real like tumbled, natural look to it.
Yeah, there's no 2 tiles that are the same. Everyone that's come in that's either worked with stone and tile commented on it, like it being nice tile.
Yeah,
which to me is reassurance.
Well, I mean, I love the fact that you made it vertical. I love the 2-tone separation from kind of like wet space to dry space.
Yeah.
And then I also noticed in the kitchen you had brass faucetry. You also have brass faucetry in here. This is the Kohler product?
All Kohler. Yeah, everything in the house is Kohler. And it's in the brushed brass. Consistently through the first floor, and then it's black finish upstairs.
You keep talking about this black bathroom. I'm interested in seeing it.
We'll see. The light is actually Kohler.
Nice.
And behind you, these are actually Kohler, which are the same as the kitchen. All these hardware.
So Kohler provided all the hardware, some light fixtures and plumbing fixtures.
Yeah, so I didn't even know that Kohler did like hardware, lighting. They do everything that goes into bathroom, kitchen.
Nice.
Which I kind of like that it was just like kind of all in one place.
Yeah, you were able to work with them and kind of single source that.
Yes.
Which makes the process for you and your wife really easy.
Yeah, it was really straightforward, and you just know it's gonna match.
Yeah. I noticed you did a pocket door here, obviously because of the tight space.
Yeah.
And you did one across the hall, which is bedroom. We'll call it bedroom number 1.
I was gonna show you the mirror and do a funny thing, but
I was gonna say, I think that you're not gonna get a lot of reflection until you hang the mirror up. I'm sure that mirror's been here too, ready to be hung for a few weeks.
I'll get to it someday. So this will be my son's room. It's that little auto light in the closet, which is a standard detail by the folks at Driscoll. Did all the electrical here.
Nice. The molding I love, and this is the Kukin Brothers KB 104, which is a little oversized for the house, but you guys wanted something that was more substantial.
I love the KB 104. My in-laws have a Craftsman house that was built in 1864. This is almost the same trim that's in that house.
Wow.
And I love it. And so it is oversized, and I don't care. I just like the look of it. It's a 4-inch, I believe.
Yep.
A 3-inch would probably be more typical for this size of house. That's what I'm told. I'm not a designer.
Sure.
So over here is actually probably closer to what the proper trim size would be. Pat modified this because this is so tight to the wall.
It's the right way to go about it when you're dealing with situations. So part of this is, I mean, this house is 120 years old.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of funky details because it's kind of been modified over, the century it's been around.
Yeah.
And you weren't going to go through moving a ton of windows, moving openings, like you were doing what was required. So a lot of the charm and like those nuances is still here.
Yes.
This is a great example where it's like you could slam that casing up against the wall.
Yeah.
I'm so against that because you lose all of the detail. And by having that separation, you're getting that true kind of like focal on the casing itself. So when we can like prevent it from crashing into, an adjacent wall. So Pat was right.
Right. Yeah. I know. If your carpenter keeps referencing something over and over,
let him do it.
Let him do it because they're right.
Back here, there's actually two great examples. You had this little window that they had tucked in at one point.
Yeah.
And you didn't, in this case, you actually chose to keep the casing tight. But really, because I think it probably would have felt awkward if that was off the wall and this wasn't.
Yeah.
But this is very much kind of like a window that's crammed underneath the stair, and you kind of just let it be what it was.
Yeah, and you get a little deeper, deeper sill there. This scribe was not that. I don't think even you had to scribe it.
Yeah.
That one was like kind of a,
Yeah.
because that's the original wall, which is not plumb, where this wall is a newer wall. Mm-hmm. So it kind of gave you the beauty of exactly what you said. It would have probably looked weird to have a little gap there.
And same thing here. He switched it up and actually did this double beaded casing where, if you had the casing here, this would have felt as though it was scabbed on. He chose to do this kind of square stock double bead and go right around the window, which playing off that charm of these like little nuanced details.
This is the casing just kind of flipped up top and then returned. Mm-hmm. And I think it kind of tying into the staircase as well was a factor.
Yeah.
It was the right call. It made it look really good. This is just like one of those weird things that it was like this originally.
It's a great example of like when you're dealing with a home like this and kind of letting the carpenter figure out, how a lot of this stuff comes together.
And the same with the stairs. So originally, well, at least when I took it over, this was walled off and this was a door.
Mm-hmm.
So
I do remember that, yeah.
So now this is opened. And so that made fun for this now kind of on display staircase, which Pat did an amazing job with. This is actually the top piece to the baseboard, which we didn't really talk about, but this is also a Kukin Brothers. I don't know the model off the top of my head, but it's from the classical molding. He cut this off of that.
Yeah, so this is the base cap.
So it's the base cap flipped upside down, which I just thought, no one's going to notice. No one's going to notice that but me and Pat and now you. But it was just like it was like a cool moment. Like, that looks really good. So now this is kind of like something that was hidden and buried is now kind of a focal point.
So I noticed you have white staircase. So are you going to be completely no shoes home?
No. So this will eventually get a carpeted runner.
Okay.
That kind of fits everything. So we did poplar painted. I kind of like because this is kind of a coastal look too. I talked to Vincent at Of Possible about this staircase, and he's like, paint the handrail black, paint the stairs white, and put a nice runner. So
there you go. This is where you installed the dormer up here.
Yep.
Put the high windows up, tuck your headboard, and you got a beautiful bedroom here.
And a quick shout out to East Coast Comfort. Stefan came in and was like, I really think instead of doing mini splits, you should do ducted air handlers.
Yeah, because we talked about doing head units
Yes.
throughout the house. So he ended up doing a mini split system, but a ducted mini split.
Yes.
So you have an indoor air unit.
Yes.
And then ducted system throughout. And the house is comfortable. I mean, we're in the dead of winter and it's a cozy house.
It's pretty warm.
Is that you end up building these really big, deep closets.
Again, the little Driscoll detail, the light.
Look at that.
Auto on.
This is a room.
Yeah, nice little semi walk-in closet.
And then you got
some deep, that will be deep storage.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have to hang the closet rod from like the ceiling.
Yep. I mean, with these doors closed, you would think it's a reach-in closet.
Yeah.
You open that, like, I mean, you can advertise that as a full-on walk-in closet.
You can walk in there.
All right, the black bathroom.
Oh, you've been waiting for the black bathroom.
Truthfully, Doug was like, I'm doing black. And I was like, I don't think you should do it. And I was like, I think you should paint the walls white, the ceiling white. And he's like, I'm not listening to you. And then I showed up and I was like, wow, that's way cooler in person.
I usually don't override. I usually don't override you or somebody that knows more about this than me. But in this case, I did override you.
So this was
attic.
Attic space.
Crawl space, attic space.
And now it's this, I'm gonna shut the door, this dark, moody primary bathroom.
In a weird way, this was not intentional, to use one of your words. It's paying tribute to what this space was just a dark hole.
I'm glad you're saying it because it's. I mean, there's not a lot of light in here, and it feels like I'm in a spa, to be totally honest.
Yeah, which is what my wife wanted. Something she kept saying she wanted a sexy bathroom. This feels like a sexy.
Has she seen
bathroom.
it?
Yes.
Does she think it's sexy?
She loves it. Yeah.
There you go. Mission accomplished.
Obviously.
Yeah, so you tuck your wash machine dryer up here.
Right. So if there's ever a leak, obviously it's not great, but you got to roll with it. I mean, a leak's a leak. You'll fix it. This bathroom, this shower, I thought came out really well. Like you're not going to be able to do.
I've showered in a lot smaller showers.
I think I have too. Primarily in Europe. This is like a luxury size shower.
What's your plan with are you going to do shower glass?
Probably eventually do glass, but for now I'll just do curtain.
Nice.
Got a black curtain in here. These are nice shelves that are basically camouflaged because it's dark. But once we put white towels on this, it'll really look cool. This is just an IKEA cabinet that was built in.
I love that.
For a little additional, cleaners or whatever.
And then floating vanity.
Floating vanity.
Is that a Kohler sink and faucet as well?
Kohler sink, Kohler faucet, Kohler light. Hardware is not Kohler's. This is a pre-built vanity, and I tried to track down black hardware for it. Could not, absolutely not find it. It's a weird size, so I had to paint these. These were originally silver.
There you go.
But it was the perfect vanity for this space.
Talk to me about the floor, because the floor literally looks like a Shisugiban charred wood, which is obviously a tile. Is this Emser as well?
This is Emser as well. This is something we wanted to do, this siding on the house, and just simply could not afford it. It's very expensive. So this was our compromise to do it in the bathroom floor, and I think it looks really good with it's either, I think it's metamorphic, not meteor.
What's your favorite room in the house?
I think it's the cop-out answer, but it's the main room.
Yeah.
Which we did all the work to add that bathroom to the upstairs, but as a byproduct, we got to open up the ceiling in the living room and really open that space up and make it something unique and special.
Thinking back over the course of the last 4 years, I guess first of all, would you do it again?
I'm already thinking about the next one. So I just know how I do it a lot differently.
Sure. Are you happy?
I'm very happy with how it's all come together. We've had, primarily it's just working with great people, from you to Clark and Aldine, who are the interior designers who helped lay out the space. Driscoll Electric, who was, I keep saying it was my favorite part of the process just because they came in and told me hey, we got to do this and this, and once we come, and then it was done.
Yeah.
There was very little they just did their thing, which was awesome. Hugh Boyle Plumbing was great. Pat Farrington, I can't say enough good things about. He was amazing. He's probably a hot commodity without me saying that, just because Pat treated it like it was his house, which is vital to a partner, I think. You know, when someone doesn't treat something with a level of respect, you start to question everything they do. And at no point did I feel that with any of the people that came to work at this house. There was a high level of trust with everybody.
You've learned the power and the importance of planning and thinking about the project before you start. But also right behind that is the power and the importance of great trade partners and great vendors and people that appreciate what they're doing on a daily basis and want to do their best work. You can put a list of everyone that was involved in the project rather than trying to rattle them off here.
Yes.
And the credits or so. I was excited when you bought the home. I was excited to be even a smidge part of what went on here. And now I'm just like uber excited that you guys are done. Yeah. And you're going to move furniture in and you guys are going to live here and, you know, your son's going to have his own space and, you know, and enjoy the natural light down in the favorite room. Nice work, dude.
Thanks,
you guys, appreciate you watching this site visit. I know that was a long awaited update video here, but there you go.